Alright guys, welcome back to another Master and Apprentice LEGO review. And we're finally here. We put it up for a vote. We had quite a few voting for the Avengers Tower for our next LEGO Marvel module build. And with that being said, today we're going to be reviewing the Avengers Tower set 76269 with 5,201 pieces. And it's going to retail for about $500. Now this set came out 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago at this point, and it's obviously probably one of the biggest LEGO Marvel sets ever. I think it's either top 1 or 2. It's the biggest of the modular sets so far. It's a pretty big set. It's one of the most exciting sets. Lots of really cool minifigures included. I think it totals out to be 31 or 32, so over 30 minifigures. Some really cool exclusive minifigures included in the set. Overall, this is a really fun, cool set. Lots to go over with it. I'm really excited. Start off with the box art. It's just that 18 plus all black. Now, LEGO Marvel doesn't do it as much as LEGO Star Wars. LEGO Star Wars does a lot more of all black 18 plus sets. Every once in a while, you'll see LEGO Marvel, put some other art on the box other than all black for 18 plus sets. But not for this one. They put all black, and then in the top right, they put Avengers Tower because these modular sets aren't only purview to the MCU. So they've done some, modular sets from just the other Marvel source, like the Daily Bugle isn't, in the MCU. It's just from the comics and other shows that pulling source from. The X Mansion that we got last year isn't pulling from any MCU project as well. It's pulling from, X-Men 97 and the comics as well. So this is just symbolizing Avengers Tower from the MCU. This is what it's purview to, so there's no questions or misunderstandings about that. But for the rest of the box art in the front, it's pretty plain, just kind of showing off a bunch of what you're getting on the front there. Before we get to the back, I wanted to show off the top. It's just showing all the minifigures and their names. Usually that's something you get in the front of the set. There's so many, they had to reserve it for the top of this set. The reason I say it's 31, 32, maybe even 30 minifigures is because there's two figures right here. The dummy, it's not really a minifigure, it's a brick built thing that's, from the Iron Man series, but it's not really a minifigure, but it's a character nonetheless. And then the Ant-Man character, it's not really a minifigure, it's just a small little mold that they have some print on it. But it's cool, but I think this part's cool. I opened up the top and it's like almost like a picture from Disney Plus of the characters from the MCU, but in Lego form. I thought that was really fun and cool, so I just wanted to show that up before we get to the back. Now the back of the box art is just kind of what you'd expect, just play features and functions and accessibilities. I've said it before, but not all of the sets, but a lot of the 18 plus sets, they show the dimensions of the set, like the width, the heights, the length, all that. I really like that, especially for these big sets. It kind of gives you something to work with, the dimensions and dynamics of it. And it's showing off just some cool scenes from the MCU, for Endgame, from the first Avengers, some things like that you kind of really have a hard time setting up with the actual set itself, as we'll talk about later. That you can only get those if you set them up and left it there, right? It's not really a play feature or function. It's just kind of showing some like Easter eggs from the movies. But other than that, it's nothing else, just black box art showing off the play features. The first minifigures we're going to talk about are the Chitauri. They're something that we've seen quite a few times throughout the MCU, but first off, in the first Avengers movie. It comes with 4 of them in this set. They're all the exact same. 2 of them come with weapons or guns or whatever they are, and 2 of them don't. 2 of them are kind of designated to be some pilots of like the flying ships of whatever they're called. And 2 of them are like just 2 soldiers, like foot soldiers. So that's why 2 of them have guns, 2 of them don't. As you can see, they're nothing crazy special. There's no leg printing, no arm printing. It's just all grayed out. The torso printing and the back printing is all pretty good for the most part. The head printing is kind of what you'd expect. It's, kind of looks like the Chitauri alien form. I think, I don't know if they've done it in any of the other sets before, but I think a helmet may have worked because I think they kind of just designated them a lot of that detailing to the printing. I think the helmet, would have shown some more accessory and detailing because their heads aren't really cylinder like this. They're not really that smooth, and there's a lot more to them than what's shown on these printed heads, but I don't think it really ruins them or anything like that. The Chitauri are just kind of, they're not really any of your worries. They're just there, and they're just kind of there to get beat up on, essentially. So it's cool that we get a couple of these. It's nice that we get 4 of them, 2 for a pilot, 2 for foot soldiers. But other than that, these are what you get. We're gonna have to kind of speed run through a lot of these minifigures because there's over 30 of them, so I'm not gonna have time to go into detail over all of them. The next minifigure we have is the first iteration of Ultron in the MCU. When the Iron Legion gets back, from Sokovia in Age of Ultron, Ultron takes over, the AI Ultron, and takes over Iron Legion. And this is technically the first iteration we get in the Avengers Tower. And it's cool that we get this because we don't really see Ultron in the Avengers Tower in Age of Ultron, right? We see them other places, but we never see them fight other than the Age of Ultron that we see right here. So this is a cool iteration to get. I don't know if we've got any other Lego build, but if we have, let me know down in the comments. It's still a really cool minifigure to get. A lot of cool detailing. He comes with some blue transparent pieces for thrusters both on the hands and on the feet. I wish we'd have gotten 2 or 3 more of these because that fight scene, I believe, has 4 of them in total. So we only get 1 in this set. It would have been cool to get more, but nonetheless, it's still cool to get at least 1. It does a really good job of showing that battle damage that we see in the MCU when Ultron first shows up. It's pretty cool. There's no really arm printing, but the leg printing and the torso printing, I think, is done very, very well. The head printing looks really good. And then the back is kind of just more battle damage. Again, a really cool minifigure to get. Something that's missing out of this set, in my opinion, is I wish we would have gotten the Ultron Prime, right? Like the full Ultron that we see, who's trying to make himself made out of vibranium at the end of the movie that we see battle in Sokovia. We don't get that in this set, but nonetheless, I'm glad we still get a Ultron in this set. The next minifigure we have is, of course, Loki, the main antagonist of the first Avengers film, and a character that's really stuck around throughout the MCU from beginning to end. I mean, he's still in the MCU now with the Loki series, which is Disney Plus's most popular series for the Marvel side. So it's nice that they get him in this set. He doesn't really come with a scepter. There's technically a scepter in this set, but it's not the full scepter that we see in the Avengers movie, and it doesn't actually come with Loki. It's part of the build itself. And we'll see that when we get through the build. But Loki himself is pretty good. The leg printing and the torso printing is kind of what we'd expect. The cape is nice. That's like that nice silk cape. The helmet's nice and big. And he does come with a hairpiece as well, which I think the hairpiece looks really good. Overall, I think the Loki looks pretty good. Something that I like that they included is the back of the head. They have additional printing, and it's at the end of the Avengers film when Thor has him arrested. He's bringing him back to Asgard with like the mouthpiece on and the handcuffs. They actually give that headpiece printed on this Loki, so that's really cool. I'm glad they included that. Again, I don't think we've seen that in any Lego Marvel set previously, so it's cool we get that iteration of Loki with the mouth guard on. The next minifigure we have is Dr. Ursek. He's a character that we first see in Thor, but he carries over into the Avengers movie, and he's relatively important, and he's been in some other MCU projects moving forward. But in the Thor, or in the Avengers movie, he kind of plays an important part in kind of helping Loki open up the portal for the Chitauri. So it's cool that we get him in this set. I think it's a character that could have easily been overlooked. He comes with this cool foldable laptop. It's my first time seeing this. I don't know if I'd ever seen this before, but a cool little laptop you can carry with him. It's cool. He's a doctor, scientist kind of guy. So it's cool that they give him something that maybe symbolizes that. Otherwise, the minifigure himself is super, super plain. Gray pants, no printing, arm printing non-existent. The shirt itself, the torso printing is, a blue button-up shirt, like very, very plain. The head printing works, there's not double-sided. The hairpiece works just well. Overall, this minifigure is very plain, but you get the idea. This is Dr. Ursek from the Avengers and Thor movies. The next minifigure we have is Thor. Now, Thor is a character that we've seen kind of go through a bit of a change up throughout the MCU. He was kind of more plain in the early days, and then we go through the Ragnarok era and now Love and Thunder, where they just kind of added more love and color to him. So this is, I think, a pretty accurate detailing of what he looked like in the first Thor and Avengers movie. And his face even looks a little bit younger compared to some of the MCU Lego sets we get now for Thor. So I like that. Yeah, the long hair. He does come with Mjolnir and a hammer. They give you a little bit of a build for it. You have like these transparent pieces that look like he's throwing it and it's carrying the lightning. I don't actually remember seeing that in the MCU Avengers movie. I don't remember him seeing throw Mjolnir with lightning behind it, but it's something that maybe just kind of passed my mind. Either way, it's cool that we get that. You can take it apart if you want, just on the whole Mjolnir, of course. But otherwise, the Thor is pretty plain. There's no leg printing, no arm printing. The head printing is pretty good, but something I wanted to mention is I actually don't remember Thor having a beard in the first Avengers or Thor movie. He did have a beard later on, but something that I think, I mean, unless I'm mistaken, I don't remember him having a beard until later on in like Thor, Ragnarok, and whatnot. Maybe it was just the first Thor movie he didn't have a beard. Either way, he does come with a double-sided face as well. Comes with the all lightning, like he's, in his Super Saiyan mode, where he's zapped out of his mind. So that's cool. Otherwise, the Thor is pretty plain compared to the previous Thors we've gotten before. Then we have Hawkeye, aka Clint Barton, another kind of plain minifigure. We haven't gotten a lot of them for Lego because there hasn't really been a lot of stuff with Hawkeye in it. But it's cool to get a classic Hawkeye version from the first Avengers movie. I think this looks better than a lot of the other Hawkeyes. I remember the first Hawkeye I got was from an Age of Ultron set, and it really didn't look like anything from the movie. So this one I think is a lot more accurate. I love the hairpiece they used. The face printing is very basic. There's no double-sided face as well. It comes with the quiver and the bow and arrow, of course. But otherwise, this Hawkeye's very plain with the leg printing and the torso printing. I love that they give him, like the vest look with the sleeveless arms out. So overall, the Hawkeye's very plain, but I think it looks pretty good for what you get. The next minifigure we get is Pepper Potts. Now we see her throughout the Iron Man series and some of the Avengers stuff as well, so it's cool that we get her included. She comes with like this blue transparent piece with a sticker on it, kind of like a hollow pad or tablet or whatever, some fancy cool Stark Tech stuff. But otherwise, it's pretty plain. She's in this business suit, got the red hair that, so famous for Pepper Potts, with the red freckles across the face. Overall, pretty basic minifigure. Pepper Potts isn't really a character that's super loved, but it's a character that everyone recognizes and knows. So a cool minifigure, a cool little tablet she comes with as well. There's no back printing to mention, but she is double-sided face. You can see on the other side, it's just a little bit more angsty of a face. Maybe she's in trouble or falling out of a building or whatever the case is. Another extra detail to have. The next minifigure we get is a Black Widow, or Natasha Romanoff. We see her again throughout the Avengers movies and Captain America, and her first appearance was in Iron Man 2, so it's cool we get her here as well. Another really cool minifigure, but also kind of plain. I think this one has a lot more better detailing. Her arm printing is nice. The leg printing isn't really there, but you can see a little bit. It's not that crazy, but overall, a nice Black Widow. Again, we don't see a lot of her in Lego sets today because, well, spoiler alert, she dies in Avengers Endgame, so we haven't seen her in 5 years in any MCU project. So it's nice we get a nice, cool, updated, minifigure for Natasha Romanoff. The hairpiece works just well for her. Her gun, for whatever reason, is a really derpy looking gun. It looks like it's missing the barrel, but it's not that big of a deal to me. The rest of the minifigure, the printing for the torso, legs, arms, I think looks really, really good with the shield logo on them. I just like it. Just nice detailing. And then the headpiece you can see is double-sided as well, kind of like Pepper Potts, just a little bit more angsty face on the back, whether she's fighting or falling or whatever. Something to give a little more extra detail. Next up, we have Alexander Pierce. Now, this is a character we didn't really see in Avengers Tower until Avengers Endgame, of course. But he was mostly in the Captain America movies, but he did see him in the Avengers Endgame at the end, them retrieving Loki's scepter, and the cube as well, actually. Overall, a cool minifigure to include because it's kind of a niche scene from Avengers Endgame, but it's fun, it's cool. The minifigure itself, pretty plain. He's in his business attire in the all gray, so gray pants, gray arms. This torso with the gray suit printing looks just fine. He's not double-sided face, comes with just the one side. The hairpiece, the gray hairpiece, I think looks fine. It fits out. Overall, a fun but plain minifigure to get. It's cool to include nonetheless. Next up, we get the Hulk. Now, there is no Bruce Banner included in this set, which I would have liked to see, but the Hulk is important. We do get him nonetheless. It's one of those big, giant molds. He looks great. There's not a whole lot to talk about with these. They're always fun. But something I've seen with a couple of these molds, for whatever reason, these hairpiece, they come off the head really easy. I don't really know why, but it's something I always include. It's something that I hope Lego eventually fixes, because this is a guy whether it's a kid or an adult, you're going to kind of throw around. He's the biggest, most fun character to play with. He's known for smashing things. And yet, if you move him too fast, his hair just comes flying off. It's a little bit silly, but it's not the biggest deal. Overall, a great minifigure. There's not a lot to show on the back, just a little bit of some studs. So if you wanted to put a minifigure or something or an attachment on the back, you technically could. But overall, the Hulk is a minifigure that deserves to be this big mold, and that's great that we get it. But because it's this big mold, there's not a lot else you can do with what you get. Again, I wish we would have gotten a Bruce Banner, because we see Bruce Banner in the Avengers Tower multiple times, not just the Hulk. So, cool minifigure nonetheless. Next up, we have the man, the myth, the legend, Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury, a character that we saw again in Iron Man 2 and has had a prevalent place in the MCU from start to beginning. We've gotten this minifigure a dozen times. The only difference that we may see is in the Captain Marvel movie and Captain Marvel sets, because he's younger. But otherwise, the character's never really changed in the MCU, and therefore his minifigure hasn't really changed. They maybe added some extra details. For this one, they really didn't. There's not really a lot of details to mention. He comes with a gun, comes with a walkie-talkie. He's got the eye patch on the head. It's not double-sided. It's just the band of the eye patch going around the head on the backside. There's not a lot to talk about this minifigure, but it's a good one to include. I'm glad we got it. Nick Fury kind of starts and stops with this guy. He's the cornerstone of the Avengers and the MCU for all intents and purpose. Next up, we have Dr. Cho, or Cho, C-H-O. She was only seen in the Age of Ultron movie, but she had a prevalent spot in it. She kind of helped with helping Hawkeye recover from some injuries. She had a crush on Thor in a couple of scenes. She actually was part of Ultron creating Vision. She was part of that process. So a cool minifigure to get nonetheless. A very plain minifigure. She's just wearing like nursing scrubs, so it's just all kind of baby blue, very plain, a little bit of detailing on the torso. She comes with like a little bun hair piece, and then the head printing is pretty plain. She comes with the one side, and on the back there's a little additional detail, kind of more angsty face. I don't know what else to call it. It's just some extra detailing. Otherwise, a very plain minifigure. She does come with a syringe. That way she's a nurse. But otherwise, very cool, very plain minifigure, but nice to get nonetheless. Then we get Wong. Is the minifigure. I don't really know why he's in this set. I mean, maybe I'm missing some post-credit scene that he was in the Avengers Tower, but I can't recall any. So it's kind of a weird character to get in this set. Like, we get Wong, but no Doctor Strange. But even though none of them really had any scenes in the Avengers Tower, so it's weird. I don't get it, but nonetheless, it's cool to get Wong. He's kind of a fan favorite. He's funny. He's cool. He's sarcastic. It's a minifigure that we've gotten quite a few times. Very plain, very basic. It comes with like the orange transparent pieces showing off using some of that mystic magic. But the torso printing, leg printing is very basic. He's not double-sided head. He's bald, so you couldn't really hide it if he was. So, cool minifigure nonetheless. A little bit of a weird one to include. I think if they got rid of this and added like a Bruce Banner or something like that, that might have fit better. But either way, a cool minifigure nonetheless. Next up, we get the Wasp. Now, this is another character I really don't know why is in this set. She didn't really have any scenes in the Avengers or Avengers Tower. She wasn't even in Age of Ultron or Civil War. She didn't really pop up in an Avengers movie until Infinity War or Endgame, I believe. So it's kind of a weird inclusion, but nonetheless, I think this minifigure looks really, really good. The helmet, I think, is phenomenal. The back wing pieces, they're like plastic, so they're not the normal like velvet cape pieces, so that's nice as well. You can't really see any of the back printing, but there's not much to look at. The legs and the arm printing, nothing there to behold, but the torso printing and the head, the helmet printing, I think is very, very cool. It looks really, really good. And the wings as well. And then she does come with a hair piece as well. So I like that inclusion. Something I think that I wish they would have done is for both Scott Lang and Hope Van Dyne, I wish they would have included a smaller version and a minifig size version for both. They only do one or the other, right? For the Wasp, they only include the minifigure form, but no tiny version. even though she only goes tiny, right? And for Scott Lang and the Ant-Man, they only include a tiny version, but no minifigure or big version, even though he goes big and he stays in a big version a lot. So it's kind of a weird thing. I wish they would have, maybe included both. Either way, though, this wash, I think, is phenomenal. I like the head printing, I like the torso printing, I like the helmet printing, I like the extra hair piece. And then there is a backside for her head as well. A little bit more of an angsty face as well, more detail. I don't really know, I don't think they needed it, to be honest, because you're going to have her helmet on most of the time anyways. And even if you don't, you have a hair piece. So either way, cool minifigure. Again, kind of a curious one why they added it when they could have added, someone like Bruce Banner or a minifigure version of Ant-Man. Nonetheless, cool minifigure to get. Speaking of the Wasp, next up we have Ant-Man, another weird inclusion because he doesn't really have any scenes in the Avengers movies or Avengers Tower, but cool nonetheless. Something I have a big pet peeve with Lego is, for whatever reason, they refuse to give us a minifigure form whenever they have the special form. So if they have a giant version of Ant-Man brick built, they never include a minifigure form for whatever reason. And if they ever have this tiny version like they do now, they never include the minifigure form. I don't really understand it. It's super annoying to me because this, you can barely see it on the camera. Like it's tiny. What am I supposed to do with this? It's cool. It's funny. It's gimmicky. It's nice to have. But a minifigure form would have been nice too, so I could actually set it up in a scene or just, whatever. I actually wanted to do something with it, but I can't do much with this. It's cool nonetheless that we do get Ant-Man. As you can see, he's real tiny. He's about a stud big, maybe two studs stacked on top of each other. But there's not a lot to talk about the detail because, if I'm being straight up honest, I can barely see anything on it. So it exists. It's there. It's cool. Good luck trying to find details on this, though. Next up, we have War Machine, James Rhodes, a Rhodey, a character that we do actually see in the Age of Ultron movie. He doesn't really play a big part, but he's kind of at the beginning of the movie when they have the house party in the Avengers Tower. So I do like that we get him included in the set. It's a cool minifigure. He comes with the additional back piece and the turret on top. The grayed out version of War Machine is always a really cool thing to get. It's just, a bulkier, less sleek version of Iron Man. So it's kind of a cool character to get. But with that being said, there's not a lot of additional thing to talk about. He's very similar to Iron Man, just kind of grayed out. And he's got that cool helmet piece that for a while Lego strayed away, that, it was just one piece. You couldn't flip it open. That was dumb. Don't ever do that again, Lego. This is much cooler. We like that you can flip it open. We like that we can see James Rhodes' head. It's cool. It comes with some red transparent pieces to kind of give a thrust effect. Overall, a cool minifigure. The leg printing, torso printing, all looks really good. A good minifigure to get included in this set. Next up, we have the Scarlet Witch, or Wanda Maximoff, is how she's pretty much known throughout the MCU. A really cool minifigure. She's one of my favorite characters in the MCU, one of my favorite characters in general. Not a lot of detail with the legs and the arms. The torso printing looks fairly good. She comes with a cloth waist cape piece, kind of like akin to some of those pieces that we got the clones early on, like in the 2000s and even beginning of the 2010s. It looks pretty good. It's supposed to be like a skirt, kind of how we see in the Age of Ultron movie. I don't think it was actually needed. I think you could just, maybe even tool molded or whatever the case. I don't think you needed the extra cloth piece, but I'm not going to complain. I think it looks nice. And then you have these one studded red transparent pieces stacked on top to kind of show some of that magic. But otherwise, a very plain, cool character. It's fun to get included. She's, obviously seen in the Age of Ultron movie throughout it. So she is in the Avengers Tower a couple times. And then she is double-sided headed. So you have a more detail, more angst on the backside. And then she also comes with a 1x2 clear studded piece, kind of show that she's kind of flying or levitating. We see her do a couple of times, so that's nice to get there as well. Then we get probably my most favorite character. It's obviously an exclusive to this set, a much sought after minifigure. We get the Vision, but we get him this phasing through effect. So his legs and the bottom of his cape are all kind of transparent, but the rest of his top half isn't. So it's a very cool looking effect. The Vision, I think, has always looked really cool. He's always been one of my favorite characters in the MCU. In Age of Ultron, I think he he stars bright. I think he's a really cool character in the Age of Ultron. I love that we get him in the set, and I love the way they did his minifigure. It's kind of a cool, different way, because some of these big giant sets, you want some exclusivity with some of these minifigures or whatever, just, you know, kind of make you feel like you got your money's worth. This character alone, I think, is really, really sweet, and I'm glad I got that in this set. The rest of the detailing is kind of what you'd expect for a Vision character. A lot of those, you know, I know a lot of people don't like it, but the MCU, whenever they do costumes from the comics, a lot of people complain that they just add a lot of lines for detailing. And you can see a lot of that in this design of this minifigure. But the rest of it looks good. The green, I think, looks really, really cool. The red is kind of like, is it different from what the comics? So the comics, it's like a blood red. But here they have it, in an MCU, they have it like almost like a pink, but like almost like a magenta, like a very light red. So I think it looks really cool. I like how they bring it over to minifigure. Again, that bottom half and the cape, they do it with the cape. The capes have plastic piece, and they kind of had to do a plastic piece. You can't really make a cloth piece half transparent on the bottom. It doesn't work like that. But the cape with the transparency at the bottom effect as well, I think looks really, really sick. There's not a lot of detail in the back to go over, so overall, really cool minifigure. Next up, we have the Falcon, Sam Wilson, before he becomes Captain America. Another cool minifigure to get. He has the brick-built wings. I know back in some of the earlier Marvel sets, they had like just kind of a whole mold, and you just throw that on a back piece. Now they have these elaborate brick-built wings, and you put some stickers on them. I can't decide what I like better. I think it looks fine. I think it works. The minifigure itself is pretty plain. The torso printing looks just fine. The head printing with the goggles and the hair piece looks just fine. He comes with 2 guns that we see in Winter Soldier. He is in the Age of Ultron movie as well, just like James Rhodes kind of earlier on in the movie during the house party scene. We don't really see him a lot in the Avengers Tower moving past that, but it's cool to get included nonetheless. Overall, a kind of an elaborate minifigure, but not a lot to go over. You know, the stickering on the wings in the front looks just fine. The detail on the torso looks just fine. The head printing looks just fine. And then on the back, there's a little bit of a different sticker pattern, but the pattern is the same. The color is different. Otherwise, it's more of the same, just kind of reversed. And then he comes with Red Wing on the back there, right? You see that in Age of Ultron or Civil War, and we see that moving in MCU projects moving forward. So a good minifigure to include nonetheless. Next up, we have Steve Rogers and Captain America. Exact same minifigures, only difference being the head pieces and the additional piece on top, the helmet / hair. So one on the left, one on the right. One is from Endgame, Infinity War, and the other one is from the first 2 Avengers movies, more or less the first Avengers movie. So the one on the right is supposed to be the one from Endgame. Comes with the head piece and the hair piece instead of the mask and helmet. You know, it looks just fine. He is double-sided head as well. He does come with a shield. But that's kind of part of the build. We'll show when we go over the build. The headpiece, extra detail on the back. When he's fighting Captain America, maybe you don't want him smiling, so there you go. You have that additional right there. And then the Captain America next to him is the original Captain America from the first Avengers movie. He's a little bit more, what you'd expect with the headpiece and the hair piece, or helmet piece, sorry. Comes with a shield attached. The torso, leg printing, all that stuff is the exact same on both, so I'm not going to cover that any differently. But if you take off the helmet, you can see it looks kind of weird without the helmet, so you want to keep the helmet on there. But if you wanted to change maybe the detail on his face, he is double-sided head as well. So again, more angst or whatever. If you wanted to show, they're fighting, they're not smiling instead, you have that option as well. It's really cool that they included both Captain Americas, because it's kind of a funny scene in Avengers Endgame when they're fighting each other, because they're pretty much the exact same character. They're making jokes, whatnot, and it's just a fun, cool character to get. So it's fun that they give this extra Easter egg of including both of these characters in the exact same outfit that we see in Avengers Endgame. So cool characters to get nonetheless, but not a lot to go over. Then we have 2 SHIELD agents. This is again a scene from the Endgame. When Tony and Steve go back to New York to get the Tesseract. These guys are pretty plain. They're pretty much the exact same. Both darker skinned heads, but one's a female, one's a dude with a beard, so that's the only difference. But otherwise, the helmets, the torso printing are the exact same. It's just like a military gear vest with a SHIELD logo on it. both very plain. They both come with the exact same gun, both come with a pair of handcuffs. The helmet, they both you can put down the goggles if you wanted. But otherwise, the minifigures are the exact same. There's no additional head printing. The torso printing is just in the, I'll show you. The back of the torso printing is, more of the vest, but you also get the words shield instead of the logo. So overall, minifigures are pretty cool, but there's not a lot to go on. These aren't really key characters. They're just kind of background people who are part of that scene. Next up, we have another shield agent, but it's the Tony Stark in disguise. Obviously he's trying to steal the Tesseract undercover, and then, the Hulk comes plumbing through and he drops it, and so the briefcase opens up. That's kind of what this briefcase is here for. It comes with him, but there's nothing actually that goes in it. It's just an empty briefcase. But the torso, everything is the exact same as the other guards, except you have a Tony Stark head, and if you want, you take off the helmet and you can add a hairpiece. So there you go. It's just pretty much a Tony Stark head on top of those shield agents with an additional hairpiece as well. So another cool minifigure to get, another cool Easter egg from Avengers Endgame. The next minifigure we get is Tony Stark. This is Tony Stark just by himself, not in the Iron Man suit. This is when he's talking to Loki or when he's on the helicarrier. This is from the first Avengers movie. You can mostly tell by that Black Sabbath shirt. It's what he wears a lot throughout that first Avengers movie. He does come with a back piece stud on the back. We'll show why he comes with that on there. It's for a specific scene. But otherwise, the minifigure is very plain. Like I said, comes like that Black Sabbath shirt on the front, but there's no additional printing on the legs or the arms. It comes with the Tony Stark head, and the hair pieces of what you'd expect. There's not a lot else to go in. It's nice. See this? It's nice to get a plain Tony Stark. And this is kind of why I complained about the Scott Lang minifigures, because if we can get like 3 different Iron Mans and Tony Starks, I think one Scott Lang minifigure would be suffice, especially in a $500 set. It's not the biggest of deals, but either way you look at it, it's nice to get a Tony Stark that's just plain without the Iron Man suit, because we don't actually get a lot of those these days. All the Tony Starks are usually just an Iron Man with maybe an additional hairpiece. So it's nice that we get a Tony Stark without the Iron Man suit. Next up, we have the Iron Man Mark 7. This is like a battle-worn suit from the beginning Battle of New York. It gets all beat up, right? We see kind of throughout the battle, he gets to the Avengers Tower or Stark Tower, takes off his suit, puts on Mark 7. This is the one that he takes off. It's all battle damaged. I think the extra battle damage on it looks really sick. It's pretty cool to have that extra detail, even on the helmet part. But otherwise, the minifigure is the exact same. Compared to like all the other Iron Mans with all red or maroon color and the gold. He also comes with that helmet where you can lift up and you can see bing bada boom, a transparent head. I put that on the wrong Iron Man, but either way, it looks pretty good. There's not a lot of detail on the back, but just in case you wanted to see it, there's a little bit on the torso, kind of showing off some of that Iron Man suit. But Iron Man Mark 6 is, we'll get to Iron Man 3 and there's like 42 or whatever. So Mark 6 is just one of the few Iron Man models that we have. This one's just cool because it has all that battle damage from the Battle of New York. Then we have Iron Man Mark 7. This is the suit that Tony Stark gets to the tower to change into. An upgraded version. This one, as you can see, has no battle damage. It looks a lot better, all cleaned up. Comes with the blue transparent pieces for the thruster effect. Overall, the minifigure I think looks really good. He does definitely have the Tony Stark head, so there you go, you can see that in there. I forgot to mention the blue-sided face, kind of show off like the tech that he's seeing when he's in the Iron Man suit. All the Tony Stark heads have that. I don't know why, because Tony Stark wearing a t-shirt isn't going to have that effect, so that's weird. Tony Stark wearing the shield disguise isn't going to have that, so that's weird. I think it was just kind of lazy and didn't want to change up the mold of the helmet or the printing of the helmet. But all the helmets are the exact same. You have the blue-sided face, and then you have the plain-sided face like this. So I'm not going to take out the helmet and show you because they're all the exact same. But the torso, leg printing, all of it looks really, really good. The Iron Man minifigure in Lego is one of my favorite Marvel minifigures. They always put a lot of love and detail into these minifigures, and it always looks really, really good. So the minifigure itself, I think, looks amazing. And last but not least, we have the man himself, Kevin Feige. Now, Kevin Feige is the head honcho of Marvel, right? I don't even know his title anymore. It used to be like producer. Now it's like he runs the MCU essentially, right? He's in charge of kind of putting the movies together. He's kind of in charge of getting everything ready, what movies come out when, who should be directing who, which characters should be in this movie, how does this movie set up this. Like, he's the guy who started from 2008 into now, right? Like, this guy is what has driven the MCU, right? There's other parts to it. There's other key characters like, you know, RDJ, Robert Downey Jr., but it started with Kevin Feige and his idea to move the MCU forward. So it's really cool that Lego included a Kevin Feige minifigure. You know, the figure himself, the head printing actually kind of looks like it. I think that's really cool. He comes with an Avengers ball cap hat. He has just a normal, like, blue jacket, you know, navy blue. Comes with a pizza piece, a cup of coffee, black legs, no printing. It's very plain, but just the idea of including Kevin Feige, I think, is really cool. I just think it's really nice that Lego did that. The next part of the review, we're going to talk about some of the mini builds. There's about 3 or 4 mini builds. First, we have the Chitauri bikes, and then we see this in the Battle of New York a whole lot. Like I mentioned, you get some extra Chitauri to put on here as if they were riding. So these 2 front pieces are the exact same. There's a lot of these gold, like daggers, swords. They're all just kind of for extra detailing. There's not a whole lot you can do. You can kind of put the minifigure on there to sit, and that's really it. There's no blaster or stud shooter or anything like that. The only difference being on one model compared to the other is that you can add the cart and put Loki on there as if he was standing like you see in the movie. But these carts are the exact same. They both have a piece on the back, like a ball holder. You can just shove it in there and bing, bada, boom, they attach really easily. But there's no any play features or function. There's no stud shooters attached. It's just a lot of gold detailing to kind of give it that Chitauri effect. And a lot of these, like these swords or daggers, whatever they are, usually, they put it on there for detailing. It looks really sick, I think. I think they did the detailing for these figures, or for these builds, really, really good. But otherwise, these bikes don't have a lot else to offer. Then we have the Chitauri guy. I don't know what his name is. Goliath worm thing. It's, you know, it's a thing that's in the movie, but we don't really get a lot of detail surrounding it. It's a thing that destroys a lot. It's big, it's mean. You have his head right here in the front. Open it up. It's got these nasty chompers. But yeah, it doesn't really do a whole lot. You know, in the movie, you have foot soldiers shooting out of the side of it. It doesn't have any effect to give that. It has a lot more of these daggers or swords, usually whatever they are supposed to be, kind of on there to kind of maybe give that effect, or maybe it's just like the armor effect. Either way, it's not obviously scaled because it's not shooting out any minifigures, but it's a nice, cool, big build to have that we see in the Battle of New York. So it's cool that they included it in this set, because this set's a lot to do with the Battle of New York. Even though it's Avengers Tower and not Stark Tower, a lot of this set is to do with the Battle of New York, so it's cool we get this included as well. But otherwise, while it's a really sick design with all of these knives and daggers for detailing and the paneling with these jagged, rough edges, there's not a whole lot to talk about. It's pretty straightforward. It's a cool looking dude, but there's not a lot of play features or functions included in this guy. And I do like the stand that it comes with, though. Next up, we have the Baby Quinjet. Now, this doesn't really do a whole lot either. It does have some sick wheels, so you can do that. Otherwise, this doesn't do a whole lot. The sticker on it with all the shield logos is pretty sick. You got some on the back there as well. The thrusters are a little bit movable, so that's cool, I guess. Otherwise, this doesn't really do anything. It's really, really small. The way they have it included in this set, I think, is really cool. But by itself, this doesn't do anything. It does have some stud shooters on top, so that's nice. It's one of the few things that actually has some play features and functions. But it can only fit one minifigure, and just barely. You gotta squeeze them on there like that. Pretty much have them lying down, as you can see. And then you can stick this on there. It doesn't even have like an attachment piece. You just have to plop it on and plop it off. It's nice to include. I think it's, you know, like I'll show you how it interacts with the tower. I think that's probably the best part about this. But otherwise, a standalone, this Quinjet's small. It doesn't really offer a whole lot. The one other thing is you can pull off this cover right here, and there's some extra studs for some, you know, for the stud shooters if you want. But otherwise, this doesn't really include much else. But it does look really good. The stickering and like the engines with the blue paneling, I think looks really good. The thrusters on the back here with some transparent pieces, all looks really good. Overall, for a mini Quinjet, I think it looks pretty good. So now we get to the big guy itself, the Avengers Tower. I've got to say, this is all time one of my favorite sets. It's just a cool thing to have. I'm glad LEGO did it, and they did it proper, I gotta say. The tower itself is gorgeous. You know, one thing I had to complain when I was building it, talking to my wife, is you gotta push all of these window pieces into their frames independently. But when you were doing it, even the serotonin of putting them all together, you're like, I know how many I'm putting together. This thing is just gonna be so massive. And once it's all put together and said and done, this thing is friggin' massive, and I love it. It's a giant skyscraper, but with superheroes and Marvel attached to it, and it's just so sick. So we'll get to the front, and we'll move to the back, and then we'll get to the interior at the last. So starting with the front, pretty straightforward. Window paneling, tiling, and the corners are all like this blue transparent. It all looks pretty good. Not a whole lot to talk about. The curving right here and here, the building techniques for that was all really fun. It all comes off fairly easy. They're only held on by a few studs. As you can see, they already fell off when I was moving it. I think that's okay, because for how big this thing is and how much curve it needed, you can't really get around it. You gotta kind of just be careful with it when you're moving it. So it's not something to play with, I'll just say that. This piece right here, when I take off, this was a really fun piece, and the way that this all comes off is really fun. So we'll talk about that later. This Avengers logo, it's pretty cool. It's the exact same on both sides, so I won't talk about it much on the back. The front here, it's pretty straightforward. You know, it doesn't really have any play functions or features. You can pull it off, but there's nothing behind it or anything like that. There's no Easter eggs. So that's pretty much it for the front of the top. The bottom here, more panels, more tiling for the windows. It all looks really good. The window frames, like I said, it's a little bit monotonous, a little bit tedious putting it all together. But there was some serotonin once you got it all put together, because it was kind of rewarding, because there were so many. I mean, each bag had like 30 or 40. There was just so many. But the bottom here is some fun features. You have obviously something that's only really seen, and I could be wrong, on, you know, haven't done my MCU homework, but it's only seen in the Hawkeye show, the Battle of New York Monument, and it goes over the names of the heroes that fought in it. We see it in the Hawkeye show when Clint Barnett is in New York. We don't see it in any other MCU movie. So it's actually a cool nod to that, because that's something that's not actually seen a lot in the MCU. So that's cool nonetheless. We get a really sick lamp post, so that's nice. Fire hydrant, garbage can, there's a piece of bubble gum in there. Yeah, Lego bubble gum. So not real bubble gum, that'd be gross. And then we have these, whatever these things are, don't sit on them, but those are there. So yeah, and the staircase looks pretty sick. I don't know if that's, you know, lore accurate, because I'm sure this building is technically bigger. It's not mini scale, it's not, you know, one-to-one scale, but overall the doors and the staircase work just fine. I like the effect. You can obviously tell this is the front, because the back only has one door. It's like an alley door. So this is obviously the front. All of it looks really good. It's kind of what you'd expect for a Stark Tower or an Avengers Tower. It's actually very clean up in the front and very formal. To the side, or sorry, the front of it, I guess you could say, this is, or the side, either way, this is like the front side of it. We have the platform, and this is what I was talking about, the Quinjet. This is, I think, the best purpose of the Quinjet. You can come in here and bing bada boom, put the Quinjet right in there, and it just barely, if you fold up the wings, right, if you have them folded out, it doesn't work. But if you fold in the wings, oh boy, I embarrassed myself, there you go. It rolls just in. And that, I think, is pretty sick. You know, it's not something we see a lot in the movie, but it's really cool. If you watched or read any of the comics or the old TV shows, you see the Quinjet park on the Avengers Tower quite a few times. You see it pull up on that pad like that. So that's really cool to include. This landing pad and the wiring across it, it was really cool to build. It's very smooth. A lot of cool building techniques for all of that stuff as well. And then the front, as we'll get to later on to talk about the interior, this whole thing isn't attached by anything. This is just one piece that comes on and off. Really, it's not even that sturdy, to be honest. but the way they have it kept on there is, simply put, physics and gravity. You slide it on, and then this curved edge right here keeps it from falling backwards, so it's not a straight piece. So you slide it on like that. You make sure you have these edges on the outside of the building, and you just lean it up. Oh boy, again, I'm embarrassing myself. Cut this. Oh. So as you can see, you just slide it back in, and it sits there. It's not actually holding on by anything. So there's that. And then I mentioned early on with the one variation of Tony Stark that he had a stud on the back. So that stud right there is supposed to be attached right here. And then you get the scene from Avengers when he's thrown out the window by Loki, and the Iron Man suit is following down, and it, collects him, and he puts on the Mark 7 suit. That's what that scene's from. That's what that stud's there for. So you can actually have that cool scene reenacted from the Avengers movie. So a really cool scene to have, and that's what this is as well. Now moving to the back side, same thing. I forgot to take this piece off, but all throughout this build, you'll see a lot of these studs open. That's because they have probably 6, 7, 8 of these curved pieces and straight pieces that you can put on here. And you can have it like somebody's flying or whatever. You can have it holding one of the bikes or whatnot. So that's what you see all of these holes for. They do have purpose. It's for displayability, right? You can put those pieces on. Like I said, there's like 8 or 7, so there's a lot of them. This one's for Wong, obviously. I forgot to take it off. But moving past that, the Avengers logo is the exact same. This side has a bird. I don't know what his name is, don't care. The back here, the bottom, same thing. Paneling, tiling. It doesn't have the broken window. The broken window on the front is supposed to where Hulk maybe grabbing the building, but you can't take it on and off. That just stays there. The backside doesn't have anything like that though. So the paneling and tiling for the curves and like the outside of the edging, all the exact same as well. This just has more of a straightforward glass paneling, no breaks or anything like that. And on the bottom here, we have the garbage can. There's some Easter eggs in there. We have a PIM particle thing. Okay, I can get it out. It says PIM on there somewhere. And then a little burrito for the garbage. So just like a little cool garbage can with some Easter eggs. So that's neat and all. Then you have the Easter egg, obviously, from Infinity War at the end credit scene where Nick Fury is calling Captain Marvel, and it has that little call sign on there. So that's a cool little Easter egg as well. And then the back door is obviously staff only, exit only. It's got, a cool little Easter egg on there with the Captain America Museum. But otherwise, there's not a lot else going on back here, just some cool little Easter eggs. And then the back side, pretty straightforward. This side, the paneling was also really fun. These were a little bit weird to line up, and it still kind of is. If you touch them too much, they fall out of place. But all of it looks really good. It was pretty easy to build. More of these holes again for the transparent pieces to have the effect of flying, the stands or whatever. And then you have these Technic hole so you can attach it to any of the other module builds. So that's really it for the outside of the build. I'm sure I'm missing something. We'll talk about the top once we talk about the interior and all now. But otherwise, the next part of the interior is going to be hard to review because, quite honestly, it's just hard to get your hand in there. So we'll do our best. But if we miss anything, let us know down in the comments. All right, like I said, this thing comes off, just slides on and off like that. So I'm going to put this over here to the side. And then we'll go room by room. We'll start with the bottom floor. The bottom floor is obviously the biggest. It's the biggest room. It's the most space. There's some Easter eggs. So we have the vending machine. There's some cool things in there. I think it's Vita Rush or Vita Rush. So there's some pop cans in there. You can kind of see. Then it comes with some chairs right there. It's like a waiting room, the lounge or whatever. So there's that. There's the front desk with a keyboard and a laptop. It's just some printed pieces or some sticker pieces. There's not a lot of detail. I forgot to include the briefcase, but there's a Tesseract that, is supposed to be falling out of the briefcase that Loki grabs in the end game. So that's what that cube is there in the middle. There's a Ant-Man minifigure right there that I put because he was also part of that scene. So that's what that is. It's pretty straightforward. Each floor has an elevator. They all are in the same spot. So at the back right here, you can kind of see there's an elevator. Yeah, maybe want to look up from this side. So you can see kind of right straight back there's an elevator. It's kind of hard to see. It's the very bottom, so the lighting sucks. But they're all in the exact same spot, and they're all the exact same except for one floor. Moving up to the next floor, you kind of have two scenes in one. You have both like the lab and like the nursing area. So that's what the first floor is. So at the very back there's like a lab area with a bed. It'll have some like medical stuff. That's usually where Dr. Cho is or Dr. Chow. Not a lot to go on back there. There's not a lot of cool details or anything like that. But moving past that, right above it is the glass bridge that we see Cap fight Cap during the Avengers Endgame. And then obviously broken glass here is when one of them falls off, and that's how they beat the other one. And Cap walks away and says, "That's America's ass," right? So that's what that is. That's what this glass is, the clear glass. That's what that fight's from. And you can see right there, because Cap loses his shield at that fight, so that has it kind of built in there. So it has it on the little stud showing it part of that scene. So that's really it for that floor. The next scene, a little bit smaller again. This floor, I think it's supposed to be more like Tony's room, like a workshop mechanic area. It has obviously the back of the room, like a blueprint for one of Tony's Iron Man suits. So there's that. Then you have Dummy, like one of his AI robots to help him assemble his suits. They have like this pad right here for assembling. So you can put one of the Iron Man suits just on there and have the dummy assemble it. So that's what that's for. So that all works pretty cool. Then you have like a little workbench over here. There's some things in there, but it's nothing crazy. It's like some cash or whatever. No big Easter eggs or anything like that. Again, not a lot of crazy details in that one, but a cool room. The next room above it, I'm not too sure what it's supposed to be. I don't know if it's supposed to be like a detention area or what, but either way, it comes with like this blue cell, and then you open it up, and you can put a dude in there. So I don't know if this is supposed to be like from the helicarrier where Loki's in there or something like that. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know if it's supposed to be like a sleeping area or whatever. I don't really know what it's supposed to be. Maybe it's supposed to be a capsule for one of Iron Man's suits, whatever. That's there, it exists, nothing else a lot to go with it. You have a newspaper here, a hot doggy, and you really can't tell, but you're just gonna have to trust me. That elevator, so like I said, there's an elevator on each floor, right? One there, one on the next floor, one on the bottom. The one on the top here, next to that capsule, has the no order, right? Like it says broken, don't access, and it has a picture of the Hulk on it. So it's like showing the elevator is out of order, and that's why the Hulk had to take the stairs and why he was pissed and whatnot. You can't see it because the way this angle is, it just sucks, but you can kind of tell there's some additional stickering on there. So there's that. And that is really it for those four main floors. When we come to this top floor, take out this Quinjet. And then I love this. So this sunroof right here comes off real easy, just slides off. It kind of stays on by these lip pieces, so it stays on this side. So this just literally sits on there, and it doesn't come off. I mean, unless you turn it upside down, but if you did that, I don't know what's wrong with you. But otherwise, it comes off fairly easy. And this other piece shows the curve of the edging of the building, but it's also kind of a cover, and that comes off pretty easily as well. It just slides underneath. You bend it kind of out of place, and it's like almost like a drawbridge kind of. It's very bendy like that. It's just pieces sliding on a rubber piece, and these are the pieces guarding it together. So it's both a cover and a curve for the edging of the building. So very, very cool. So the floor underneath, you have kind of the lounge area that we see of the house party from Age of Ultron. So you have that table with Thor's hammer from when they were all trying to pick it up. You have a news on one side and another news on the other side. Both giant TVs kind of again from the bar. And then on the back there you have that bar actually that has a bunch of drinks or whatever. I don't know what they're supposed to be. I don't care. But pretty cool scene. It's from Age of Ultron. So it's got some cool Easter eggs from Age of Ultron. So cool nonetheless. Then we have this top piece right here. This is supposed to be, I think, the scene from when Hulk smashes Loki, because we have this cool imprint sticker of a minifigure into the ground. So that's obviously supposed to be Loki. And I think this is supposed to be the bar where Tony's talking to Loki and Loki throws him out eventually. But there's no really other Easter egg implying that. So I don't know if they were just putting some scenes in certain pieces. So I don't know if that was just trying to imply that or whatnot, but yeah, there's that. And then the top piece right here, this one, you actually does flip open. So it's one of the few pieces that doesn't just slide on off. You actually do flip it open. It's holding on from some connectors. This one is supposed to be where they're creating Ultron. So you can see it's like the lab. So it has some caution, it has Ultron on there, and then it has Loki's scepter. So this is when they actually do create Ultron. So it's like a lab kind of. There's not a lot of space, so they couldn't really fit too much in there. But they do have that, some cool Easter eggs from Age of Ultron. So it's like the top half is Age of Ultron stuff. The bottom stuff is like Endgame stuff. So that's kind of that. And then the very top you have where Eric Urseg, it has the portal opener or whatever it is, the gateway to the Chitauri. The only reason you can tell is because it looks really weird, and the thing in the movie looks really weird as well. So that's what that is. Cool antennas and stuff on the top there. Overall, not a lot to talk about on the top as well. So that's really it for the interior. There's cool other Easter eggs here and there. Like on the back here, you can't really tell if you want to go on the back side. There's a comic, Avengers issue 1. That's obviously not in the MCU, but that's something that they wanted to include in this set because it's a cool little nod to the comics. So there's that Easter egg as well. There's plenty of cool little newspapers and whatnot. Like there's a newspaper over here talking about the Battle of New York on a coffee table with Thor's hammer. There's an Easter egg over here talking about something. So there's cool little Easter eggs like that throughout the build. And there's some other stuff here and there. But overall, that's really it for the interior. Honestly, I think the biggest part about this set is just how big it is and how good it looks aesthetically. The blue transparent pieces for the window, and then the gray windows with all the window frames. It all looks really, really good. So that's really it for the main build itself. So that's it, guys. There you go. Our final review of this set concludes. I gotta say, this set is awesome. This set is great. I've only done 2 of these module sets, the Sanctum Sanctorum. It's up on the channel for review if you guys haven't checked it out. It's in the details, go check that out right now. This set is just awesome. The size of it and the grandiose of this set is obviously really fun, but just all of the cool little Easter eggs, the minifigures. There's really not a lot of complaints with the minifigures. I know I mentioned a couple, but there's also a lot to be happy with these minifigures. You know, the Vision is obviously one, but like the Captain America, the Iron Man, like the main Avengers are all really, really good. And then just like the extra builds, like the Chitauri stuff and the Quinjet, all of it is just done so well. This is a set that I think is going to look really awesome on display for anybody, but there's just so much extra display ability with all the different stands you could put on and all the different scenes from the different Avengers movies, whether it's Avengers 1, Avengers 2, Avengers Endgame. There's just so many cool different scenes and sets you can put together with this. Overall, an awesome set. Now, is it worth $500? Yeah, I think it is. Not only by piece count, it's 5,000 pieces, 200 pieces. It's worth that. You get your 10 cents per piece count. But just the giant scale of this is worth it. I mean, $500 seems plenty fair. This is a set that I would think probably be $650 today's market. But it's not. It's $500 and it still is. It doesn't retire until next year. So if you like the MCU, if you like big Lego sets, this is an awesome set. I would say, and I don't give this lightly, probably like a 9.8, 9.9, like almost a 10 out of 10. This set is near perfect. Would I recommend everyone go buy it? No, probably not. And that's kind of why I wouldn't recommend a 10 out of 10, because this is a big set and there's a lot of fragile parts and moving parts that are easy to break and lose. But it's a $500 18 plus set. So that kind of goes without being said. So with all that being said, highly recommend this. a 9.5 at the very least, somewhere between 9.8, 9.9. A great set. Recommend getting it if you're any kind of Lego collector or Marvel fan. And yeah, with all of that, let us know what you guys think down in the comments if you guys like this set. Let us know what you guys think of our review. If there's anything we missed, because I'm sure there's plenty of Easter eggs I did miss and other details I did miss. And let us know which one you guys want us to review next. You guys want us to hit Daily Bugle next, the X Mansion, if you guys want us to wait for the next module set to come out, we'll do that one next. So let us know all that down in the comments. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one.